Can you say that again? You were Catholic and she was?
She was Muslim.
She was Muslim. And then when you wanted to do something with her, she said that it's haram.
Yeah.
But then she was doing other haram things. So you're saying it's basically hypocrisy.
Yeah.
But you said you were Muslim before, is why I didn't understand.
I'm now Jewish.
Oh, okay, so Catholic, Muslim, Jew. I'm just trying. Can you walk me through that timeline? Because I like
I was raised Catholic.
Yes.
When I was like 14, 15, I
Okay.
changed to Muslim.
Okay.
And then further down the line, I changed to Judaism.
Okay.
And that's where I currently am now.
Okay, so the first thing is the family background is Catholic.
Yeah.
Then you decide to become Muslim at 15, 14, 15.
Yeah.
And then you like, you know what? That's not for me. Let me become a Jew.
Yeah.
But by race, you're not a Jew.
By race, I'm not a Jew. No.
Okay, so you chose.
Religiously, I'm a Jew.
And how did you convert? Where did you go? Or just by yourself?
It's by myself.
Yeah, so because they will not accept you.
I know they wouldn't accept me.
Okay.
Especially because I look like a man.
Yeah.
But I was born a woman.
Okay, that's another topic that we can also
another
discuss.
topic.
Okay, so yeah, no, but I'll talk about it. I'm happy to talk about that as well. Like, yeah, I don't mind talking about anything. But before we go into a man-woman situation, can we first talk about the reason that you left Islam, that you say made you leave Islam? Because you adopted Islam, accepted Islam. I don't know how much you knew when you did. Were you actually practicing Muslim later? Did you start to pray?
I started praying, I started practicing. I literally was sitting there every day, trying my best. I ended up deconverting after a traumatic event happened.
Okay.
To me.
Okay.
And when I had brought it up to other Muslims,
Okay.
they had told me that God is just going to smite me anyway, so what's the point?
Okay, I don't know which Muslims are these, but
Yeah, right.
okay. So you're saying the reason you left was an emotional reason, is what you're
Yes.
saying? Okay.
But I still have major respect for Islam as well as Catholicism.
But I don't get it. Why Judaism? Like, what's the difference there?
The synagogue that had spoken to me were very open about transgender people coming
Okay.
to the synagogue and like converting. They were okay with it. So that's why I converted to Judaism. They were the ones who supported me when I started my transition.
So none of this has to do with rationality. It's just emotions, you're saying?
Mostly emotion as well as just how I feel as a person.
Yeah, emotions, right? Which is obviously everyone has emotions and everyone has subjective feelings. I completely get that. Okay. Can I ask where your background, the family members, where they're from?
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico. Okay. So let me ask this question then. Is feelings an arbitrator of what is objectively true and what is objectively false?
They can be objectively false.
No, false. True and false.
False.
Yeah, no problem. And if you don't get anything I say, maybe the accent and stuff like that,
No,
because
you're
I'm not
good,
from the
yeah.
US,
Please,
yeah?
please, go
So
ahead
you can
and
just...
fix me.
Yeah, no, that's all right. So I'm just saying, can we use emotions as an arbitrator to determine what is objectively truth, and what is objectively falsehood?
That is interesting because I'm of the belief that if there is truth and it's in your face, your feelings can't deny that.
But that's kind of not answering the question though, right? Because wouldn't you say there are certain people who would have certain feelings and these feelings are not necessarily the correct feelings in what we view to be right or wrong?
Yeah.
So feelings are not an arbitrator of right and wrong, but they would still say, I feel that way,
Yeah.
right? Or would say, okay, it doesn't matter what you feel, it's still what you're doing is wrong, right?
Yeah.
You cannot do this, right? Say that's why there is laws, and these laws don't care about your feelings, right?
Oh, yeah.
So like there's many people who don't like the laws, I'm sure there are many people, but they still follow because it's not based on the feelings, right? So how would you determine what is right and wrong yourself?
I go more on morality.
Yeah, that's what I mean. How do you morality is right or wrong? So I'm saying, how do you determine moral teachings, moral values, moral decisions?
So I actually reference the Quran a lot when it comes to that.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so why don't you reference the Torah or the Talmud, which is the explanation of the Torah by biblical rabbis, but it doesn't agree with each other, it's different. So why do you think
they're
you
both
base...
different, but the Quran is just one scripture. It is one full scripture that tells everything truthfully. They don't mince it, they don't mince words, they don't change anything. The Quran has not been changed like the Bible or the Torah has.
Okay, so the reason you follow the Quran is because the Quran doesn't change. So what about the part of the Quran that tells you are born a man or you're born a woman, you're born what you are? There's no such thing about feelings when it comes to the Quran.
Yeah.
What about that part?
Those are the parts where I was like, ooh, Because I'm here, like, obviously I look like a man.
Okay.
So, and I'm doing everything medically to become a man.
Okay.
So
Let me get that straight. You're born? What is your birth gender? Assigned birth assigned gender?
female.
Female. So you took hormones. You're saying?
I'm on hormones.
Oh, okay,
I'm
okay.
on hormones. I got surgery and everything.
Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to tell probably.
Thank you.
So we have to ask. Especially
I
America is dangerous when it comes to that. You can get no clue probably, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you were born a female.
Yes.
And then you took hormones and you changed.
Yes.
Okay, but what do you consider yourself as a question?
I consider myself a man. I went through everything physically, emotionally, and spiritually.
And did you always have this decision since you were 15, 14, 12?
Even before that.
Okay. The number of people that change their gender in the US in comparison to the rest of the world, would you agree there's no comparison of the amount, the huge, massive number that do it in the US in comparison to the rest of the world? Do you agree with that?
I would agree, but I would also say that there hasn't been a lot of documented changes. Or if they have been, they were destroyed, like during Auschwitz.
No, but I don't just,
like the Kristallnacht.
Yeah, no, I mean today.
Today?
Yeah, I'm referring to today. In this day and age in which most of the Western countries, by law, in the West, you're allowed to do this. In fact, you're protected. Like in the UK, you're allowed to do this.
I did not.
You are, of course. Like liberalism has taken over the West in general. But I'm saying, if it's taken over the West, why does the US still have more numbers than the rest of the world? Is the question that I'm trying to pose.
I think that comes down to spirituality.
I would say it comes down to the culture and society.
That as well.
And what the community is telling you, when you find a safe haven with the group of LGBTQ in your school, who open their arms to you and say, we are acceptant for whatever it is, and then you want to be a part of that, so you say, you know what, I'm actually feeling something else, or today I identify as whatever it is. In order for you to feel a part of that group or community, wouldn't that make sense to you? In what you see on a day-to-day basis, that would make sense to the number of people doing it here in the US in comparison to the rest of the world.
In comparison to the rest of the world, yes.
Okay. So I would say, I can say personal experience can be a big part for a person deciding that. Let me ask a different question now. And you're welcome to say, you know what, I don't want to answer that. But when it comes to your upbringing, is there any history of any abuse, something like that? You're welcome not to say if you don't feel comfortable. There is.
Not from anyone who was going to church, funny enough.
Yeah, no, I'm just asking, regardless of religion, right?
Yeah.
Was it direct family members?
It was family members.
Was it the father?
No.
The mother?
No.
Okay, so it was direct family members, aunt, something around?
Uncle.
Uncle, okay. So, do you notice, and it's just a question, that there is a huge amount of the individuals that would feel, or a part of the LGBTQ, etc., all of that, that most of them, I don't want to say all of them, but most of them have had some sort of a negative experience with a family member. I'll just put that negative experience.
Yes.
Would you say that that's very common among the people that are like this?
From everyone I know, especially, it's very common.
Okay, why would you say it's fair for someone who is external of that group to say that there could be some sort, insinuate that there could be, or ask a question, that there could be a link, a correlation, related to causation as well, between these two things happening? Would you say that makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So, surprisingly enough, and that's not me, but if you go back like 50 years ago or 60 years ago, homosexuality or LGBTQ or whatever it is, in general, it was very negative in society. It was taken as a negative thing, right?
Yeah.
And that changed obviously after sexual revolution, all of that. But before the sexual revolution, if you look at the medical textbooks, do you know how they, what was the medical position towards homosexuality or LGBTQ? What did they label it as?
They labeled it as a mental disease.
Okay. And did they link it with parents and abuse or in the medical textbooks?
They did not link it to parents, they linked it to external abuse.
Yeah, I mean abuse from someone when you're young.
Yes.
Yeah, when you're a child, basically when you're younger, right? There was some sort of abuse that is happening.
Especially when it came to men being gay, they would link it up to someone being sodomized as a child.
Okay. And wouldn't you say that if this was the case, the reason it changed, by the way, would you agree that the reason it changed was not science? So it did not change the position of the society about LGBTQ or that group did not change because of science. More of public pressure and social pressure and sexual revolution is the reason it changed.
No.
So you would say it's science?
It's a lot of science that has finally come up because, and like this is what I was trying to say a little bit earlier, there used to be a lot of books about transgender health and like mental health and all of that. But they were all burned by Germany. And it's not just from Germany either, in Greece.
But let's talk today, right? Because I know you're talking about back in history, right?
Yeah.
Because that's neither here or there because we cannot prove it. Like if I can say, for example, there's tons of books about X, right? And they were burned. I cannot essentially prove that claim because it's already gone now, right? But we can talk about today for sure. What we can see today, we can prove, right?
Yeah.
So I'm saying today, the science of today, how does the science of today support the ideology that is found in LGBTQ, for example?
So I'll take my example. I'm transgender. The science of today shows that those who transition have a 42% less suicide rate.
I don't think that is accurate, by the way. I think the most studies today show that among the people who transition, there's the highest rates of committing suicide because especially a lot of these people who do these operations in the US, they do it in a very young age. And then they're not able yet to make a decision, a big decision like that in their life. And actually we can talk about the age, right?
Yeah.
But generally, they're not yet able to make a decision about the age. So when they grow older, it's not a reversible thing. In most cases in scenarios and situations, they end up regretting it. And a lot of them end up committing suicide. A very clear example is the Reimer twins. Have you heard of the Reimer twins?
Yes, actually.
Okay, and you know what happened to them in the end? They both like essentially took their own life, right?
Yes.
And they were changed without their view and they were young. And if it was natural, as many people would say, it's just a level of life, right? But the thing is this, there are studies, for example, America, they tried to conduct a massive study, Nature magazine, I'm sure you're familiar with what Nature magazine is, conducted a study, and they realized the title of the study, that's not my words, it says there is no gay genes. And this is millions of dollars that have been spent. This is 2019 or 2020, that's the most recent science, right? This book straight in. For example, Robert Spitzer, who is the father of modern psychology in America, by the way, I don't know if you heard of him or not, but he conducted a study with 200 homosexuals. They spoke to them on the phone. They changed their sexual orientation to heterosexual, all of them. And obviously he was criticized of the study and he has to retract and say my study is deficient, but the results are still there. That he actually spoke with 200 of them, but due to the social pressure he had to change, right? His book Straighten, for example, My Genes Made Me Do It, it's written by two scientists. They conduct studies and they show that scientific research shows that this is not an innate thing because it's found in one twin while it's not found in the other identical twin. If it was genetic or social because they're in the same family, they're born with very similar genetic, it's not the same identical twins, but still one of them is homosexual, etc., or gay or whatever, the other one is not. So I would say science is opposite to even the modern science. I'm not talking about back then, right? Even modern science, even though the societal view has changed, modern science is still against the fact that this is, for example, something that is genetic or this or that or born with. Or
I do believe it's a choice. I also believe that sexuality in a whole is fluid. It's not just I'm straight one time, I'm straight in another.
So let's ask a question about that. Now I don't. Maybe you've been asked this question before, but you're saying you're a man now.
Yes.
So can you define what is a man? Have you been asked this question before? Maybe
yes,
not.
And I've been told a lot of times that, and it's funny because I've also had this asked me by a rabbi.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's interesting. Okay.
Because he was like, "What defines a man?"
Okay.
And the rabbi had.
And I see you have the star there, or I don't know. This is just the triangle, let's say, or nothing to do with it.
No, this is not Jewish.
Oh, but it's a tattoo, right?
Yeah, it's a tattoo. It's actually Buddhist.
Yeah. Sorry, I was interrupting you. You said the rabbi. Yeah, the rabbi. He was asking you.
The rabbi had told me something that would technically come from like the 1950s. It's the man's job to get a house, get a job, take care.
But did you ask him or he asked you? Because
he asked me.
Oh, but he's giving you the answer.
He gave me the answer when I told him a man is someone who can not only protect but accept being protected back.
So, but that applies to every human being.
To every human being.
So, which means everyone is a man?
No. it means that everyone is their own individual, and each individual is not the same as the next.
If there's a definition that applies to everyone, that defeats the purpose of it being a definition, because definitions are things which make us distinct between objects.
Yes.
So for me, when I say water and I say fire and I give a description of water that is made in hydrogen and is made of oxygen, right? And these particles make what we call water, and I say fire is made of hydrogen, another element, right? So based on that, we can make a distinction between elements and life. It's called kind of the law of identity. I'm not if you're familiar with that.
Yes.
But without the law of identity, we cannot live. The reason being is if I'm you and you're me, then I cannot steal from you, cannot steal from me, we cannot talk to each other because I'm talking to myself. It makes no sense, right? So identity, law of identity, makes distinction between objects, and based on it, we can determine things and we can live on. So coming back to that, the definition of a man has to be distinctive from a definition of a woman, because we, societies, since the beginning of time, have been viewing them to be different things. So if that definition that was given for a man applies the same exact way to a woman, then it does not work as a definition. So what is a man?
That's interesting to think about. I've never thought about it that way.
Okay, so we would say as Muslims, the gender that you have, if you want to use that term, because obviously section of gender is the same thing from an Islam point of view, right?
Yeah.
So if you're born in a physical body of a man, you're born in a physical body of a woman, that is what determines what you are, whether you are a man or you are a woman. That's how we look at it, and it's very simple, because when they bury the body of dead people, they're going to bury them based on their anatomy, right?
Yeah.
Most of the time, and that's how we're going to say man or woman based on where they were born or what they were born as, right? So we say, and that's very simple. We say Allah, or the Creator, does not make mistakes. You believe in God, you said.
Yeah.
Do you believe that God makes mistakes, contradictions, or is it all-knowing?
I believe that God puts you on a path.
No, but that's cool. We agree.
Yeah.
Make perfect sense. but would you say that Creator of God does not make mistakes?
No.
Okay, excellent. So if the Creator of God does not make mistakes, we would say, based on that, we cannot say someone is born as a man in a body of a man, but he's a woman, or born in a body of a woman, or he's a man, because that would indicate that God has made a mistake in that specific thing, right? Someone can believe that, which they believe it and happens in society, but we would say, as Muslims, that from an Islamic point of view, that would mean or indicate that God doesn't know what He's doing, essentially. And Allah says in the Quran, الَّذِي أَحْسَنَ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ خَلَقَهُ, the one who perfected everything is created, right? وَبَدَأَ خَلْقَ الْإِنسَانِ مِنْ طِينٍ, started the creation of human being from substance like clay, right? Referring to Adam. So this is a description of the Quran, that Allah has perfected everything is Allah made. Therefore, there's no mistakes, there's no errors, right? So you said, still, you rely on morality. Coming back now, because we went to a full circle, right? So that is our position on these issues, and I'm just explaining to you the reasons we have these positions, and that's why they make perfect sense, and they are in line with the teachings of the Quran, because we say whatever is in the Quran is perfect based on that, right? Because it's from God. That's why you see it's making sense, and there's evidences for it, and it's supported by reasoning, because it's from God, it's not from me, right? So the question is now, if you base your morality on the Quran and you believe in God, what is the description of God you believe? Do you believe that God you believe in forgets, regrets, rests? Do you believe in these attributes? Or do you believe that that Creator is all-powerful, does not forget, therefore needing to remember, does not regret, and any of these?
I believe that He doesn't forget nor regret, but He does forgive.
No, we believe in that as well. Excellent. Like, we are on the same point. Like,
Still on the same point.
Exactly. Because the Quran starts at the beginning of every chapter. You say, in the name of Allah, the most forgiving, the most merciful, right? The most beneficent, the most merciful. This is how the Quran starts in every chapter, right? And the first chapter you say twice, because you say in the name of Allah, and then you say again, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim again in the second verse, right? So, like, mercy is an essential part of Islam, right? But also justice and also punishment for those who deserve it, for those who do evil. So Allah is like, we look at everything in a balance, right? So Allah, as the Quran says, وَضَعَ الْمِيزَانِ, He placed balance, scales, right? That refers to the scales on the day of judgment, but also refers to the creation. Everything is balanced. Everything is created in precise measure. That's what we believe, right? So, if this is the case and this makes sense to you, whatever is taught in here, and these teachings I was telling you about God resting and forgetting, these are all biblical teachings. So how can someone say, you know what, all of the morality of Islam makes perfect sense, I believe in God, and I believe in everything the Quran says, and I don't believe in the teachings of the Torah, but I'm Jewish person. How does that make sense to you? I understand the people in the rabbis.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I understand the rabbis were very accepting, but there are many Muslims who are accepting. The fact that there were some idiots who are Muslims, and I'm saying this because I'm a Muslim, I'll be clear. Look, I'm straightforward. These Muslims can be idiots sometimes, and they can push people further away from religion rather than embracing them in the correct way, in the way that Islam teaches them to do. But I would say them behaving does not mean that religion itself is correct. Yeah, because you could go to another rabbi, which is an Orthodox rabbi, who probably will tell you things, everything you don't want to hear. Yeah, he's going to tell you about Sodom and Gomorrah and what happened there and all of this stuff, right? He's not going to tell you what you want to hear. You can go to a preacher, you can go to a different Christian today, and they'll tell you different things. The churches here have LGBTQ flags on them, right? So it just depends where you go. That doesn't mean the religion itself is right or wrong, but you're aligning with the teachings of Islam is what I'm saying. You believe in the morals of Islam, you believe in the teachings of Islam, and I'm saying, based on that, wouldn't you be considered a Muslim? Okay, so why don't you, so if this is the case, then why don't you consider yourself a Muslim and live in that way?
Honestly, I don't know why.
Okay, so
like when you put it like that, like why am I not? Because there's a lot in the Torah that's
absolutely
very much, and
it's harsher on.
It's very much harsher.
It's harsher than anything you find in Islam on that.
People very much use it to their advantage when they can.
Absolutely.
Like what's happening right now.
Yeah. Absolutely.
The amount of people that have just tried stopping me just from covering certain things.
Yes.
Because you can't cover the Star of David, and I'm here like they're using the Star of David as a hate symbol. I will not allow that.
Yeah. So the thing is this: if especially when it comes to the LGBTQ and all of these things, that when it comes to the teachings of Judaism, they're way more stricter. That is what I'm saying. Even that is way more stricter than Islam would be when it comes to these things. So I would say it would not make any sense from that community. Someone from that community to say, you know what, I'm going to leave Islam because maybe I have an issue. Because he didn't say that though. It was more like you didn't have a good experience in the Muslims that you met, which hopefully will fix them sometime soon. But yeah, these Muslims.
I cut them off.
No, okay.
Like, no, we're not.
That's good. So I would invite you back to Islam, honestly, because you, as you said, that Allah is forgiving. That's what we believe. Allah is a forgiving and merciful Creator, and the door of Islam is always open for you. And even if someone would continue to do a specific thing that he would consider to be, for example, a sin or something like that, that doesn't take you out of Islam, as probably you'd already be aware, right? You already know the Shahada, I'm assuming. And you already know how to pray, right? I'm assuming, right? So it's on you. If you want to come back to Islam, we welcome you. We invite you back to Islam, and we're happy to help you, support you. I'm not in the US. I'm just right here for a couple of days, But I can connect you with my brothers there if you need any help or anything like that. I'm sure that you have to. Yeah, of course. So would you like to say your Shahada again, or what do you like to do? It's up to you.
What time is it?
Okay, that's a good question. I don't know, is it 6 something or 7?
I'm still good.
Okay, no problem. So I would like you then to have a read, reflect, and think about what we said today. Perhaps if you want to come back to Islam anytime, you're welcome to. I'll connect you with my brothers and sisters there, with my brother specifically in this case, right? And they will connect you with someone. And if you've got any questions, you're welcome to ask. Do you have any questions for me now?
No, actually, you answered a lot of my questions.
No problem. I appreciate it. Thank you for that. Just out of respect, you wouldn't shake your hand because we're born as a female, just from an Islamic point of view.
You're perfectly fine.
But I appreciate it. No, don't worry. I hope you don't take that offense to that.
No, I don't.
Because in Islam, we believe women are precious. And we believe that when something is precious, not willy-nilly anyone is touching it. When you go to the jewelry store, you're not going to allow you to touch the jewelry like this whenever you like, right? And also, we don't touch that which is not ours. Like if a woman is mine or my wife, of course I'm going to touch her, she's going to touch me, this and that. A man, of course, will shake hands with. So it's not to do with any specific person, right? It's just so I hope you don't. Yes, exactly, for everyone, right? I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Let me actually connect you to one of them. Okay, sure.
صنعتم في الأرض نورا يا قلوبا فيها الوفاء بشركم اليوم السرور